Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Wholesaling Podcast. This is your coach, Rafael Cortez, with the Wholesaling Business Blueprint. Today, I'm very pleased to say that I'm sitting down with two of our students. They have been crushing it since January. And this is Shannon and Shelly. They're out of Central Valley in California. And I mean, this is, they're an absolute example of a commitment, tenacity, and like really getting into it can deliver for you in terms of results. I've seen them grow from, a deal here and there to a solid, stream flow of pipeline stuff. The whole experience of watching them grow and their business grow has been amazing to me. What's up, guys? Thank you for taking the time and being here.
Hey, Rafael, what's up?
You guys, we started back in the Wholesaling Business Blueprint back in January or so. And I mean, you guys went into it without hesitation. You've been into the, the coaching calls on a weekly basis. And I really want to just kind of, tap into this whole experience from your guys' point of view, from your guys' side. I mean, I know you guys have been closing deals. You guys have been steady and intentionally growing and learning your the whole process of building a business, right? So give us a little bit of background on how you got started, why you decided to jump into wholesaling and real estate investments, how'd you get, across those fears and stuff?
It's a long story, but long story short, when I got out of the military, wanted to kind of get into real estate investing. Mm-hmm. I read a bunch of books on it, and I thought I knew what I was doing. So back then I was doing it like the hard way. I was driving for dollars, but with the pen and paper, and just kind of going down to the courthouse with my brothers, with my friends, just kind of doing it the hard way. I ran across a couple deals. I got screwed on a couple deals doing it that way. It was a long process. After I would get the names and addresses back to skip trace, it was like $1 something to skip trace. So it was kind of expensive, and it was wasn't really like a business I could do at the time. So I'll just kind of do it every once in a while to make a little bit of money if I could. But I never really kind of made it a business. So 2019 or so, I had a buddy come up to me and he was like, "Hey, have you heard of this guy called Brent Daniels and Wholesaling Inc.?" And I said, "No, I don't know anything about it." So he started showing me some YouTube videos on Brent Daniels, and it just blew my mind. Like, I was just amazed about all the technology of all the resources that we now have. So I was thinking at that time, I gotta find this guy. I gotta reach out to Brett. So I reached out to Wholesaling Inc. I got started with Brett probably about the end of 2019, around November, December or so, and then COVID happened. I was still working full time, but with through Brett's program, I was able to at least still do 5 deals last year. So during COVID, still working full time. Doing everything else, but it was still kind of a hustle. So after that, I was kind of like, I need to make this like a business. I know I can make it a business. So I reached out to Wholesaling Inc. again, and they're like, if you want to make it like systemated, automated and systems and everything, Rafael's the guy to talk to. So we were like, we're on. And we gave you a call, and after the first call, we were like, oh, this guy's brilliant. Like, we got to work with him. And so that's just kind of where we're at and how we've been there, or what we've done.
And I'm telling you, man, it's been an awesome journey just to, spend time with you guys and watch your development, as you pivot from, the hustle and the kind of like the mainly your thought process, right? And going from the hustling to actually, the business development side of things. I remember you started hitting me with questions on creative financing right out of the gate and that sort of thing. And I mean, you jumped into that. You were so ready for that kind of stuff just to, come along and then, tap into that whole, new area of doing business, right? There's different ways of locking deals, and you guys were really good about just going to town on that right out of the gate. So I loved it. So I mean, you have been going through the process. When did you get out of the military?
Long time ago, like 2007. But
2007.
Yeah. So, but I've been trying to do real estate since then.
Since 2007.
Off and on.
Yeah. It's I mean, it's a process, right? Cutting the learning curve and doing all that stuff. But right now you're actively doing deals, and you're hyper focused right now in the Central Valley in California. So You have a couple of stuff in the pipeline, which I think is pretty exciting. But you recently closed a few deals. I want you to pick one and then tell me about it. Just how you get the lead. How did you have that conversation? Let's break it down.
All right. So our current deal we closed was for $23,000.
23K.
Yeah, 23K. That's the biggest one so far. And I will like to say that.
That was for Brent.
No, that was for you, because before my average deals, I think out of all of them, I think it was just like 7K. So that's all I was used to. I was like, oh, if I can make 10, I can make 10. That's great. But once I started working with you, it was like, you're like, no, we can make way more than that. And that's just like your calculator and the way you explain how to make to present the offers and to the buyers. So our spreads have just shot out the roof. We currently have a deal
beautiful
under contract right now in escrow. Should be closing in 2 weeks, and that one's for 2021. And then we have a deal this morning that we got, or yesterday morning, that should be 24 or so. Is what we're shooting for.
So you have another 45K set to close, and you just closed 23.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And this is one thing that happens, right? Like I think we lose a lot of people in the initial phase of it, because you start stacking the lead follow-ups, the conversations with the sellers. You start like it hardly ever happens where you just, start closing a bunch of deals right out of the gate within the first few weeks. Yeah. But what does happen is that you start having a lot of conversations real quick, and start, setting up your follow-ups. And then, I'm going to push this guy out 2 weeks. I'm going to push this guy out another 3 weeks. And then next thing you know, you have a bunch of people that you've already talked to that, they're in your follow-up, and now you're building that relationship, which, at the end of the day, that's really what gets you through the door, right? There's 1,000 other people, making offers. There's 1,000 other people trying to figure out, how to work the wholesale side of things. But if you're able to build a relationship with that person, you start stacking the deck. And I love that effect, because usually when people get started, if you stick with it for long enough, you're going to have enough things, and then the deals start popping. Boom, boom, boom. Why? Because it's not that they happened last week. It's you've been working on those, for the last few months. But now you have the momentum, right? You had that stuff that you were working on in the past couple of months, and then you have the stuff that you're working on now, which is going to close, in the next, 30 days and whatnot. So that's a beautiful thing about, getting into it and really getting into that groove where you start stacking the deals. So you had these guys, and I mean, you have a couple of deals in the pipeline. So tell me about that $23,000 deal that you closed, and how'd you get that lead?
Well, it was all Shelly. This is actually Shelly's deal. It's her first deal closing, so I'll let her kind of talk about it.
So Shannon always kind of did it on his own, and then last year I took an interest in it, a little bit here and there, and in March we decided January.
He started contaminating your brain with wholesaling stuff. Is that what happened?
I mean, it was like really intriguing to me once I took an interest in it. And January, I was like, okay, I'm going to go along the process with Rafael with you. And by March, we decided it would be in our best interest that I focused full-time on it. So that's what I did. Yeah. And I started driving for dollars. So really that's where this deal came from, was driving for dollars. We're really committed to it. We enjoy doing it together. We go have breakfast. We make a whole thing of it. So driving for dollars and cold calling. I was doing all of our cold calling. And this deal actually came from a lady. I called her and she texted me back because she was in her office at work. And so all of the details came through text message. We set up a call that evening. It was actually for my first deal. It was really straightforward. And I know it doesn't always go like that, but there was a lot of things, before that with other deals. You think something's going to happen. It doesn't. And you want to give up. And I just knew, like, everything Shannon told me, just keep going, keep going, keep going. And it was a numbers game. And so this one did come through and it was really straightforward. We had a call that evening. The next day I made her an offer. I ran the comps and made her an offer for, I believe 140. I'm sorry, 139. She countered at 150. Then within a week, we settled at 142. And when we sent this out to the buyers, which Shannon's, worked a really long time on developing a buyer's list, it was like 20 minutes and we had an offer for, had an offer for 165. It was just a smoking deal. And it went, pretty seamlessly. The seller, she had inherited the property. It was run down. She didn't want to deal with tenants. She didn't even want to talk and have a conversation with tenants. So I think like the key and something that I've been really good, and it kind of goes to my background, is I love dealing with sellers, and Shannon's really great at dealing with buyers. So together, we've been able to marry those things, and it's worked out really well. So clear communication with the seller, everything just went really, really seamless. We had a little hiccup with the escrow company, and we transitioned to another escrow company that we got through a great referral, and they've been amazing, and now we're sending everything to them. So just really knowing and having a good relationship with your escrow company as well, I think is really, really important. But it was a lot of falling down, a lot of guesses that fell through and people ghosting me. But then, like you said, everything's kind of compounded, these months of cold calls and follow up. And now things are just starting to pop off and stack up. And it's really, really exciting. So hang in there and don't give up. It's a lot of no's, but
wow.
You get better. You refine yourself and you get better. Like those conversations, I used to get so nervous, and I would probably spend half a day rehearsing what I was going to say to somebody. And now it's just I don't even have to look
then
at my
they ask you something totally, different. And I wasn't ready for that. There goes half day. Wow. No, it's amazing. Man, $23,000 out of driving for dollars. So driving by a property, looking at some distress on it, and then just, taking the action of reaching out to them. In this case, you did it by text messaging, right?
Right.
That we said?
Yeah.
Text messaging. Wow.
Yeah, but it was standard text. It wasn't like a mass text or anything. It's just
no. I had cold called her.
And then sent the text.
Yeah, and sent the text, and it's really strange, and so everything kind of transitioned through there. So really personalization and making them feel comfortable was important.
What we do when we do our cold calling, if it's our hand-picked list, if we don't get in contact with them after we leave a message, we usually generally send a text. It's from our personal number to their personal, but it's only to a hand-picked list of what we do. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, because when we're driving for dollars, a lot of them go into the automated system, and then a lot of them will be oh no, we need to look that one up, and we need to call that one personally. So.
Absolutely. Build out that relationship. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, I keep saying the same thing. It's almost redundant, but yeah, you have to connect with people at a one-to-one basis. Otherwise, it's the old adage is people will sell and do business with you if they like you and trust you, right? Well, you can't build trust if you don't have a connection in place first. And sometimes moving too fast will break that, that trust. Moving too slow will break that trust. So you have to kind of know how to, navigate the wholesaler relationship, right? This is sensitive stuff. They're not selling shoes. It's a property. Right. So yeah. And along that note, Shannon, we, on the follow-ups, we have standing protocol, in my business where if it's somebody that's already in the as a prospect, right? Not for leads, not so much for leads, or absolutely not for cold calling stuff yet. But when they make it over to being a prospect, we actually have that connection, that one-to-one connection. If we can't get a hold of them, we'll send a text. If we have an email, we'll follow up with an email. So we hit them 3 times on that same follow-up attempt. So absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And it works great. By that point, you already have an established conversation with them. So you can, text back and forth and then do your thing. But yeah, I have had one of the questions that I get quite often is, when is it okay to follow up? When is it okay to not follow up? When do I stop? You only stop if they say they sold the property or, get me the heck off your list. Right. And other than that, I mean, you're just going to taper based on your relationship with them. You're going to, the amount of follow-up. Like if they say follow up in 2 weeks, we usually call them back in 1 week and whatnot. And we always ask for permission for that next follow-up call. So, I mean, that's huge. What you're doing is perfect. It's perfect.
I think, Rafael, sorry to interject, but something I've learned that might be helpful to other people just beginning is you said not to make the offer too quick. Like you can't wait too long. You don't want to do it too quick. And I think that was a learning curve because I was always like, okay, they're in, they want it, da, 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 you know, and Shannon would be like, you know, slow down. Just because they like gave you the number they want and you know you can be there, you still got to tread lightly because it will scare people off. And so I think I did that a couple times.
She's talking about in the same conversation, like they're on the phone. They just gave her a number that she likes, and she's like, "Oh, I can just give them the offer." I'm like, just slow down a little bit. Let them. You gotta kind of let it marinate a little bit.
Well, what you get is buyer's or seller's remorse right away.
There you go.
Right.
They're thinking, "Wow, I think I could have gotten more," and then they start getting hesitant. You don't have a signed contract yet, right? So it's. I mean, you always do a little bit of pushback because it's just negotiation 101. I remember very early on, Shannon was having an issue with the offers. You were talking about the offers, and then you would drop the offer. And one of the things that we always say is drop the offer and then stay quiet, right? It's kind of like the one of the standing rules, and then wait for a response because that's your anchoring, especially if you're anchoring low. And sometimes that can be super awkward. It can be, that moment that feels like it's lasting 100 years. But it's important. It's imperative because if you drop the offer and then kind of backpedal by yourself before they even say anything, you just shot yourself in the foot.
I was doing that all the time.
Yeah. Like, Shannon, stop talking after you drop the offer. No, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you guys. You guys have been crushing it, and I mean, again, I bring it back to the commitment, and the tenacity, right? To stay in it, especially if you're doing it as a team. Sometimes that can be, somewhat difficult. But I mean, your guys' approach is complete transparency in everything that we're doing, right? In wholesaling and then within the business. So that's working. That's working great. How did you negotiate the property with the seller on this $23,000 deal? They, I mean, we're always looking to come in and solve a problem for them. What was that?
Well, she was an absent landlord. Like I said, she had inherited the property, and they were long-term renters, like over a decade. She didn't want any sort of confrontation with them. She didn't want to speak to them, and they actually weren't that bad. But she just had zero interest in it. She didn't want to work on the property. She didn't want to deal with the tenants. So we solved that problem for her. It was really all about, she had an issue and we solved it. She didn't want the property. She didn't want to raise the rent. She didn't want to have conversations. And she's like, can you guys do all of that? And we're like, absolutely.
Check.
For $23,000, we will absolutely do that for you.
And we reached out to the tenants, and we thought because of what she was saying that they would be a problem. But when we talked to them, they're like, "Yeah, sure, come on in," or set it up for a date. But it took a little bit of scheduling, but they were okay with everything.
Yeah, and so from there, I mean, she was just. It's always funny because I've watched Shannon close deals in the past, and people are always like, "Thank you so much for taking my money." And she's like, "Thank you so much," and we're like, "Oh, you're welcome." Okay,
thank you. Yeah, no, it's almost hard to believe, right? But trust me, like those $23,000 that you guys got on your end, that value is there for that seller. They're saving. I mean, there's something that equates to that amount on their side, right? Not dealing with the stress, maybe she's retired and has a steady check coming in. She could care less for another 20K. The thing about it is that, I think initially, when most people, and I'll speak for myself because this was my mindset too at the beginning when I first got started. I mean, I was thinking the money was the thing, right? The money matters, the offer, the amount that they want, that's their biggest problem. So I was almost biased to the number that I was going to offer and thinking, you know what, they're never going to take that. I'm never going to be able to make this much. But the problem is, different for every seller. That's the reality of things. So breaking away from that mindset where, the money and the amount of the offer is the main thing. It's very important because that allows you to kind of see, below the blanket and see what the real issues are, right? Yeah. Granted, a lot of people, that's going to be their thing. The most they can get, that's who I sell to. But some other people are going to be better off, selling to somebody because they're going to deal with the conversation, because they're going to, kick their I don't know, niece out of the house and they don't want to have that, awkward moment or breakup in family. They don't know how to deal with a probate process or how to get guidance. They don't want to deal with attorneys, and stuff like that, right? That you can come in and then play that role for them and then get checks of $23,000 out of the pipe. So
right. Almost every situation you said is something we're currently dealing with in other transactions we have going on right now. And
it's a machine.
It's great. It's really about figuring out why, because when they're just like, you get a million times, oh, well, if the offer's right, and those rarely I think are going to work out. But when you can talk to people and figure out what their issue is,
solve the problem.
I think you're right. The money isn't the issue. So
I think most of the deals that we've closed, most of the issue was that they didn't want to talk to the tenants. Or
people hate having tough conversations.
Right. We made some pretty good money on talking to their tenants for them. So we're like, okay, we'll have that conversation. No problem.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And think about it this way. If they feel comfortable having a conversation with you and it's somebody that they care about or, inside that property, they'll want to have that same quality conversation with them, but they just don't want to do it, right? So they will gravitate to you having that conversation because they like the way that they had the conversation with you. It's really how it works. Treat your sellers nice, do what's right, be completely transparent like you guys are doing, and doors and opportunities are going to open up. There's going to be more people making offers, but that's not the X factor. Your X factor is coming in there and then focusing on that solution that you can provide for them and, create something great for them and you guys at the same time. So it's a win-win, right?
I think countless times we've had people say, I have a stack of postcards this big, but they like the way that we treat them. Mm-hmm. And that all goes back to, I think, being transparent and honest with them and making them feel comfortable through the process.
The side note, the deal that we have in escrow right now, we had the seller come to our house. He brought some pictures of his property. He had dinner with us. He stayed at our house almost 4 hours, and he even brought the stack of actual other cards. He's like, I've been having people call me for years. Mm-hmm. But it's just something about you and Shannon and Shelly, like you guys are real nice, and he's a real nice guy. But he literally stayed at our house.
It's a Shannon and Shelly show. What are you talking about? Of course.
But it's about being, solving a problem and being personal. I think it is. It's not about the money. It's not about the amount of money. I personally think it doesn't matter where we start at with the seller for a number, and it doesn't matter where we start with the seller or buyer for a number. It's just kind of about the relationship and making it all work together. That's how I kind of look at it.
Absolutely. And when you approach it that way, I mean, the money is a byproduct of the business, of the actions that you're already taking. So it's really focusing on solving, solving that problem for the seller and coming in and being there and then making that connection with them genuinely, right? And the money is going to be a byproduct. You said the word assume earlier, and it just brought me back to this book that I read a long time ago by Don Miguel Ruiz, the Four Agreements. And one was just don't be biased. So never assume that you're coming into something, whatever is coming up ahead. But it's a great book. And that kind of like the biggest takeaway that I got from it was assumption. I would always assume that the problem was this. I would always assume that they were not going to sell, that they wanted this, they wanted that. And then after having a quick conversation, something different popped up. You're completely right. They gotta, that relationship, that comfort, that trust has to be there for them to open up and have a conversation. This is one thing that happens, and I know we've talked about it in the coaching calls. But it's, I think people get into the space where they feel like they have rapport. And then the goal of the rapport, this is very important. So if you're listening, take some notes on this. The goal of the rapport is not to drop the offer as soon as you get rapport. That's not the goal. The goal of building rapport and building connection and being genuine with somebody, and it's to open up the conversation so you can actually find the problem. When you have rapport, people will open up more to you, and then you can dig, into the actual issue and see if you can solve it for them. But what happens is that people feel like, I feel like I have a great connection with this person. I'm going to drop my lowball offer. And it's, it's not the case. It's kind of like using a hammer for a screwdriver. You know what I mean? But it's part of the process. It really comes down to that kind of stuff, and assumption will kill your deals. I mean, I wanted to highlight that because I think it's something so important that you guys became aware of early on, and now, I mean, it's helping you do all the stuff that you're doing. So Beautiful. All right. So 20, you have this deal of 23K, you have another 45 in the pipeline, and now you have a consistent machine, right? Because the whole process, you talked about the title companies and building the power team that way. So, I mean, I know we've had just kind of fine tuning along the way, but the infrastructure of your whole business is set in place. Now, if you look back to, 2007, 10, 11, 12, would you have thought that you could have, just built something like this, and have the type of life that you're in the process of building right now, or?
No, not at all. Not when I first started. That's why I quit many times. I mean, how to pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. Like I said, when I found out about, Driving for Dollars app and all the technology that we have now and the Wholesaling Inc. and all the support, I didn't know and didn't have all that. So I didn't imagine that. So now it's I feel like every other week, my mindset is being expanded. I mean, it has a lot to do with Shelly's very supportive and being around supportive people. And like right now, the business is still going. We have VAs calling. We have our buyer.
That's right. We're putting people into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're at the beach right now and the business is still going. We have a deal that's going, and we have an employee. He's calling all the buyers and making sure that it's getting sold. And we have.
Oh, now you're bragging.
No, I'm just saying. Automating everything is a tribute to you. I mean, these are things that you have taught us to do. That's what we're trying to do.
It's working. A one-man show doing everything for a long time, and now in 5 short months things are automated and they're just moving along. And we're almost every weekend we're out of town, we're at the beach, and we're like, what's going on? Like every time we go out of town, it seems like stuff starts to happen. So it was a lot of the mindset and the reading and the faith and the consistent work and never ever stopping.
Yeah, staying on it. I mean, and I can testify to that. I can attest to you guys' consistency and again commitment to the whole process. It's a blueprint. It's science. So what would you tell somebody?
That's the process.
Yeah. Before we start signing off, what would you tell somebody, and what would be your best advice for somebody who's getting started? And I mean, this can be anything from strategies, from mindset, from, whatever. Your best advice to somebody who's getting started as a wholesaler out there.
You go ahead.
I would say the best advice, no matter what your budget is, no matter if you're a one-man show, no matter if you are a team, but just being consistent and keep going no matter what it is. Like if you're one-man show and you're just driving for dollars by yourself and you're making all the calls, that's fine. Just keep doing it. You got to block out the time to actually do it. And surrounding yourself around the right people. Like I said, for a long time, I was doing it by myself, and a lot of times I felt like I was telling friends and family about what I'm doing, and it just kind of sometimes would just crush my whole aspiration. Being around Shelly and just surrounding myself around like people like you and Brent and the whole Wholesaling Inc. Industry, everybody's been very supportive. So I think that really helps a lot as well. It's like, and just so keep going forward and, surround yourself around the right people.
I think the 4 Principles of Prosperity, the book you recommended that we read, awesome. If you're taking like a leap of faith like this, she says, profess your aspirations and your dreams and everything to God or whoever your higher power is, and ask for what you want boldly, but be careful who you share it with, like in life, because there's so many naysayers. So we've been really careful to do that and just only let in the people that are going to support us. And I think that's been really helpful, because when you want to give up, you have all those people who are going to encourage you to give up. So that book was
Yeah, I love it. And you're completely right with all that. It's and I, especially on the naysayers, I think a lot of people they just don't understand the potentiality of things, the process that can bring in the different type of life that people are dreaming of. So that's one thing. Anytime people don't understand something, they reject it, right? It's there's a natural barrier up in place. So I mean, I think that has a lot to do with it. First, they'll say, "No, you're crazy, you're nuts." this is stupid. Don't, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. And then they will ask you, how'd you do it? Trust me, give it a little bit of time. Like, trust me, that's how it's going to work. And I've seen it time and time again. So yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I'm very proud of you guys. I'm honored to be part of your guys' journey, and let's keep crushing it. I mean, you guys are doing absolutely outstanding. Every time we have conversation, it's something new. The energy, the vibe, just the overall personality that you guys bring to this whole thing. I think makes it work. So with that being said, Tribe, these are two rhinos who are totally crushing it in Central Valley in California. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, reach out. I don't know if they have JV deals or whatnot in the area. What's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
The best way to get a hold of us is probably through email, which is, can I say it? Is it right?
Yeah, if you want, it's totally up to you. You're probably going to get 1,000 emails, but yeah.
That's fine. I read them all anyway. So it's Sequoia, SEQUOIA 003 at gmail.com. If you're in the California area, if you hit me up by email, and I'll shoot you my personal number. And if you're going to JV on something, that's cool. Or if you just got a question, I have no problem sharing information with it. I share with everybody, any and everybody, the cat, the dog, if they want to listen. So it doesn't matter. I just like sharing it. I mean, if someone has any kind of question about anything, or not that I'm an expert, but I know who the experts are, and I can always reach out to them if I don't know the answer. So, but yeah, for JV deals or anything, you can reach out to us.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I'm excited to see the next few chapters of you guys' journey. I know it's going to be amazing. So there you guys have it, Tribe. If you guys are interested, if this resonates, if this feels like it's something that you want to tap into, go to the Wholesaling Inc. website, and that's wholesalinginc.com/WBB. Ask for the Wholesaling Business Blueprint. And yeah, have a sit down, have a conversation. If it matches, I look forward to working with you guys, just like we are with Shannon and Shelly and the Shannon and Shelly Show.
You've been awesome, Rafael.
Yeah,
thank you.
Awesome. I mean, all the business stuff that you've taught us has been awesome. The mindset stuff I can't even mention enough about what you've done for our business. Seriously, I'm so grateful for you, for all the advice. You're always available for us. Questions in the middle of the night and everything. You're always available, weekends and everything. And I don't know if that's just for us, but you've been awesome. Is all what I want to say. You're awesome. Nothing but awesome. Nothing but good things.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Love you, and I'll talk to you guys on the next coaching call. Again, Tribe, wholesalinginc.com/WBB. So I look forward to working with you guys. And until then, stay focused. You got this. Boom.